Alhamdulillah. Okay, let's make a start, inshallah. Bismillah. Wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul uqdatan min lisani yafqahu qawli. Allahumma inna nas'aluka al-ikhlas fil qawli wal amal. Allahumma taqabbal minna innaka anta as-sami'ul alim wa tub alayna innaka anta at-tawwabur rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. And inshallah, today we will be looking at the rest of ayah number 3. So the intention today is to complete ayah number 3. Alhamdulillah, it's not a very long part of the ayah, which means that inshallah we can have a little bit more of a discussion today or go into a little bit more detail in terms of rules. So this, what I've brought up for you now is what we covered last time, okay, or yesterday. I did go into some explanation of the makhraj of this letter qaf. Okay, for those of you that probably that may be still still not sure, still wondering, I don't think I've got the makhraj right. I mean, there's always different ways of explaining things. So yesterday I was talking about how, how your back of the tongue is moving and how you're trying to move it like, upwards but backwards at the same time, right? So you're going up and backwards in a diagonal fashion with the back of the tongue, right? We talked about the uvula and the soft palate, and how the tongue is going to the soft palate only, which means it is going quite back. It's the letter that comes from the furthest back of the upper palate, or the deepest part of the tongue too. Another way you could look at it is if you imagine, and I think I mentioned this in quite a few of my classes. I think I mentioned it also in the letter series. But when you have a sweet, like an M&M or something, and if you imagine that, your mouth is open, so this is your lips, and your lips are open, and your throat's at the back. And somebody's going to throw a sweet or an M&M inside, okay? And the way that they're going to throw this M&M or the sweet inside is not so that it goes and drops on your tongue, but it's so that it's going to go straight to the back, okay? And it's going to go near the throat, okay? And what you want to do is when they throw that sweet, or when I throw that sweet inside your mouth, you want to block, because you're going to try and stop. You don't want the M&M going straight and down your throat, because you could choke or something, or you want to avoid that. So what do? You kind of you try to block the back of your throat with your tongue, right? So imagine I'm right in front of you and I've got the sweet and your mouth is open, and I go 1, 2, 3, and I throw, and then you go with the back of the tongue, you kind of go, you block and try to stop it from going in, right? That movement that you do with the back of the tongue, where you try to block the throat and stop the sweet from going down, that's the makhraj of the letter qaf. Okay, so that's kind of where you're going to. So that's another way that you could look at it if you're struggling. Okay, so I hope if you were one of those that found it difficult to understand it yesterday, then I hope that today has given you a little bit more help, a little bit more direction, and a little bit more clarity, inshallah. Okay, so moving on to the next part of the ayah. Okay, so inshallah we've got quite a bit of discussion that can come up with this ayah, and I'm looking forward to going over it, inshallah. If we start with the first part, so let's start with the isti'adha and the basmala. So if Sister Farhat, if you could say the isti'adha with me, please. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم.
Not bad. Now I remember that the dhal you could do in isolation a lot lighter. So let's just say that one more time. Let's try and get that dhal a little bit lighter. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم.
Much better. Jazakumullah khairan. Sister Humaira, if you could do the next part with me, please. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim.
Okay, so just that ra, what's happening is when you say the one with the fatha, you push out quite hard, and then you get that r sound, right, coming through. So keep it gentle. Even when you say the fatha, when you say ra, when you bring the tongue away, don't push towards the upper palate and then let go. Just let the tongue gently come down. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim.
The first one was better than the second one. Yeah, the first one was gentler, and then by the time you said the second one, you got a little bit went back to your first way. So what I want you to just practice that. You're getting there. You know what you to do now with the tongue. You just got to be a little bit gentler. So just keep up with the practice, inshallah, and it will get better. I know you're already concentrating on your ra. So may Allah facilitate for you, facilitate that for you. Ameen. Okay, so looking at this ayah, we start off with the word lahum. It's actually two words. Sister Zuleika, inshallah, will be discussing that with you. But we have the word, I'm going to call it the word, but it's the words lahum. Now the la, these are all light letters. The ha we have discussed before. The ha we said was from the bottom. So we say lahu, 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 and then you join it with the meme. Lahum, lahum, lahum. Often what people do here, is, it's a very common mistake that is made, is we say, sometimes it's very easy to say, lahum, ho, lahum, right? You got to be careful not to, you got to complete the sound of the dhamma, lahu. The best way to actually get to grips with that is to do exactly what I just did. Don't join it with the meme first. Hear yourself say, lahu, lahu. The same who is what you should be hearing when you join. Lahu, lahum, lahum. Okay. Now, the other thing I want to talk about here is when we join with the meme. Okay. Now we know that meme is a letter of the lips. Okay. We know that the lips come together. And we saw when we, for example, saw the word aswatakum, aswatakum, kum. I mentioned about the coming back for the meme. Okay. So we have a similar thing going on in that we say who, we circle the lips for the dhamma on the ha, we say who, and then we have to join with the meme. Now, the meme, again, is not a letter which requires the circling of the lips, okay? The only letter that requires circling of the lips in terms of its makhraj is the waw. When we say wa, woo, we, for that we have to circle the lips. But the meme is not a letter which is articulated from the circling of the lips. It's just the coming together of the lips, okay? The lips do not go in. So we don't say lahum. So be careful that you're not doing that. Lahum, lahum. So you should still be able to see the lips. After rounding the lips, your lips come back to a rested position. So, for example, the way that you say see your lips again. It doesn't matter if the letter before has a hamza, has a fatha, a dhamma, or a kasra. If it's a I, U sound, a zabar, zero pesh, it doesn't matter. When you get to that meme with a sukoon or the meme with the jazm, you have to make sure that you're back at that same position. It's a consistent movement. Lahum, lahum. Sister Salma, if you could try that for me, please.
Lahum.
Your la can be a little bit lighter. So at the moment, we're saying la, it's kind of staying at the back of the throat. La, la. First of all, make sure the back of the tongue is completely rested, right? So keep it relaxed, keep it down, and let the sound just come straight out your mouth without any part of the tongue rising. La, lahum, lahum.
Lahum.
It's better. It's better, mashallah, with practice, inshallah. Okay, keep practicing like this, inshallah. We're heading in the right direction, alhamdulillah. Okay, then we come to the meme followed by the meme. Okay, so we have here two memes next to each other. Now, this is a meme sakin rule in Tajweed. We call this idgham mutamathilain. Okay, idgham mutamathilain, or you can call it idgham mutamathilan. So mutamathilan or mutamathilain. Mutamathilain, that part only just means that you've got two of the same letters, right? So we've got a meme and then another meme. So that's what the mutamathilain or the mutamathilan bit is telling you. The idgham is telling you that they're merging, okay? And in this case, what that means is when you are saying both memes, you don't go to the makhraj of the meme and let go and then pronounce the meme again. And what I mean by that is you don't say lahum, pronounce the first meme, lahum, let go of the lips, and then go back in for the maghfirah. You don't say lahum maghfirah, not like that. You go in once for the mim, and when you let go, you say the fatha. لهم مغفرة لهم مغفرة. You see, you don't pronounce, you go for the makhraj only once. And you also, just like I've said in the past, whenever you see a noon with a shadda, whenever you see a mim with a shadda, you prolong the joining. So we hold the lahum, we prolong that. Okay, it's what we call akmal ghunna. So you can stretch that and hold it for for a comfortable amount. There's no, we don't give it normally any counts, but we can hold it for the longest time that we hold any ghunna, and then you go onto the fatha and you say the ma. Lahum maghfirah. Sister Salma, if you could try that for me, please.
لهم مغفرة
Okay, let's do that one more time. Lahum maghfirah.
لهم مغفرة
Yes, the only thing I want you to be careful is, with the la, you don't want to make it too long and say lahum. It's just lahum, lahum, one count. Lahum maghfirah.
لهم مغفرة
One more time, please, Sister Salma.
لهم مغفرة
Not bad. Jazakumullah khairan. So far, I was only listening up until lahumma. Okay, so I'm not correcting you on anything else because I haven't discussed the rest of it yet. Okay, when we join with the ghain, now the ghain we have also looked at. We mentioned it yesterday. Okay, remember we had the word yaghudduna. Okay, we mentioned the ghain and we said how it comes from the top of the throat. So there's two letters that come from the top, two letters that come from the middle, and two letters that come from the bottom. The bottom of the throat we've done now. We've completed that part of the diagram. It's Hamza and Ha. We have mentioned the two letters that come from the middle of the throat, which is the letters Ha and Ain. And we now know one of the letters that come from the top, and that is letter Ghain. Okay. If you, now we've talked about it coming from the top of the throat. We didn't go into too much detail. So today, inshallah, we will discuss the Ghain a little bit too. How do we pronounce the ghain? First of all, it is a heavy letter. Okay, so we don't say gha, we say gha. Okay, that's the first thing to establish. Remember, how do you get that heavy letter? It's all got to do with the direction of the voice, and what's happening with the back of the tongue. So the back of the tongue is slightly raised, it's slightly pushed back, and the sound is therefore directed towards the upper palate. Okay. So we don't say ra, so the sound comes straight out. It's ra, ra. Okay. Now, with the ghain, we know it comes from the top of the throat. How do we recognize, how do we figure out where this makhraj is? Okay. Well, if you are one of those people which likes gargling, so supposing you have a sore throat and you get some salty water and you gargle with that, where you gargle, so you take your gulp and you kind of go, oh, that place where you are, where you gargle at, oh, that's your makhraj of the ghain. Okay, that's the makhraj. The difference between how you gargle and how you say the letter ghain is that when you gargle, you're pushing out your breath. You go, oh, because the water's there, you let the breath come through and you go, oh, and that's the breath coming through, right? So you want to do a similar kind of thing, but this time, instead of your breath coming through, you want the sound of your voice to come through. Okay. So this time we're not saying, we're saying, oh. You can hear my voice now, right? So I'll do the breathy one, which is incorrect first. That's just the breath. If you want your sound of your voice, then it's okay, it's the sound of your voice this time that you want to come through when you're pronouncing the ghain. The other thing that I want to mention, which is there's a very common mistake with the ghain, that is sometimes it's pronounced as gain, right? It's pronounced as a g sound. So some people, you may find that, and you may be one of them, where you say magfirah, right? Mug. Now, the way that you fix that is, if this is my throat, right? So this is the top part of my throat where my fingers are, top of my fingers. So what's happening is, if this is the back of my throat and this is the sort of the inner part, which is closer to the mouth, what's happening is the top of the throat kind of, it's not that you're squeezing both. The back of the throat is fixed, right? And what's happening is the top of the inner part moves back. Okay, so you get that kind of squeeze backwards when you say the rain, you're kind of squeezing backwards, right? Now, when you do that squeeze, you don't go all the way. If you were to go all the way, you shut it off. And when that happens, then you're trying to say the rain and you say g. You kind of force it open and then you say g, right? So the g sound comes when you shut off the makhraj, and you don't want to do that. You want to keep it open, okay? So you squeeze, but you don't squeeze all the way. It's a small squeeze, okay, where there's still a gap in the middle, and that's where the sound is going to come through. So you kind of go l l l. So at no point is it completely sealed off. Okay, you keep it open. It's one of those letters that we do prolong, so we can stay on it. Okay, just how we saw, for example, I think we saw the sheen, and we kept running the sheen. Ghain is also one of those letters. It's a rakhawa letter. You can keep it running. Okay, so how do we say this? We say lahum maghfirah. Mel. Be careful not to say mo. That's a common mistake where people are getting ready for the heavy rain. They end up making the meme before it heavy too. So you want to keep the meme as a straight fatha sound. Ma, lahum mal. Sister Farhat, would you like to have a go at this, please? Lahum maghfirah.
لهم مغفرة.
Yes, your sound kind of cut off a bit. Could you will repeat that again? Yes, please. لهم مغفرة.
لهم مغفرة.
Not bad. جزاكم الله خيرا. Yes, alhamdulillah. You didn't have the humps in there, which is good, alhamdulillah. Sister Zuleika, would you like to have a go? لهم مغفرة.
لهم مغفرة.
Yes, we'll try that one more time. لهم مغفرة.
لهم مغفرة.
Yes, the only thing you want to be careful of, and this is a common mistake with many sisters, so listen out to see if you're doing this. If you can't hear it, maybe record yourself and listen back. When we say the ghain and we hold the makhraj and we say mel, you hold that squeeze. Whilst you're saying the ghain for that whole duration, at no point do you ease off on that squeeze. You don't make it gentler. You just hold it in place. Right? This comes with practice. Again, you're using a muscle to squeeze. So if you find that at the beginning you struggle to do this, it will come with practice. Your muscles will get stronger. You'll be able to hold it better. So if you let go of the squeeze, you'll hear this. This is going to be the incorrect way. Lahum mel. I'm easing off on it, right? You want to hold it and say mel. Hold on to the squeeze, maintain it, and then go on to the fi. لا. So we'll try that again. لهم مغفرة.
Okay. لهم مغفرة. No, not doing it right. لهم مغفرة.
You're getting there, mashallah. You've understood what's happening and you're trying to apply it. But mashallah, yes, just keep practicing. Alhamdulillah, you're almost there. You're almost there. Because it is, when you're trying to do it for the first time, it does take a good few goes to, because sometimes what happens is the muscle's just a little bit weak. So what happens is you grab it and then the muscle kind of weakens off a little bit and then you get mel, right? Mel. Okay, but you're almost there. Do you want to have one more go, Sister Zuleika?
Okay, جزاك الله خير. لهم مغفرة.
Much better. Yes, alhamdulillah, mashallah, Allah bless you. Jazakumullah khairan. Okay, so that's the ghain part then. After saying the heavy ghain, we have a nice light fa. Okay, fa is a breathy letter, so it's okay to hear a breath with it. But the key thing to remember here is the kasra. We have to say the kasra and say lahum maghfi. Okay, a very common mistake is people say fi. They'll say maghfira. Okay, it's just we tend to have subconsciously, without even thinking about it, we tend to think of easier ways to pronounce things. And with the Quran, we're trying to move away from that, and we're trying to give every letter attention and to make sure that we give every letter its right or its correct way of recitation. And so we say fa kasra fi. So we must say fi when we put it together in the word. Okay. So we have the light fa. The ra here is heavy. So I know ra is a discussion that I keep saying we're going to have another day, but we will have it on inshallah, just not today. Ra here is heavy. So we say maghfira, fira. Okay, you're saying fi ra, not fira. Now I advise a lot of sisters, especially if you're from the Asian, like India, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, those kind of regions, especially, record your voice and listen back to yourself, because it's very common to say fe. Actually, I used to do it myself as well, so it does happen. And I had to work quite a while to try and fix that. So it was a mistake I was making myself. So here we say maghfi, maghfirah. The ra here is, as I mentioned, is heavy. I'm not going to stop here. I'm going to say maghfiratun. And inshallah, if Sister Humera, if you could say this after me, please. لهم مغفرة.
لهم مغفرة.
Yes, just be careful when you join the meme and the ghain, you want to keep the meme not mag, but ma, mag, mag. لهم مغفرة.
لهم مغفرة.
جزاكم khairan. And then we have here what we call idgham. We have whenever you have a double, so a an, in, un sound, or a noon sakin. By noon sakin, I mean a noon with a sukoon on it. Sometimes the sukoon is drawn, sometimes it's not drawn. Even if it's not drawn, you assume, if there's nothing on the noon, you assume that there is a sukoon there, okay? When it is followed by a wow, this is called idgham naqis. It's not the only case of idgham naqis. There is another one as well, but inshallah, I don't want to give you too much information in one day. So here we are doing idgham means to merge, and here what you're trying to do is you are trying to when we say naqis, it means it's incomplete. And by incomplete, when you have an incomplete merge, because merge is normally when one letter will become the copy of the next letter. So we have a noon that we can hear when we say dun. There's a noon I can hear there. Dun. I can't see it in this word, but I can hear it. Okay. Dun. That noon is followed by a wow. What normally would happen if it was a complete merge, if it was a full blown merge, then what you'd find is that the noon will become a wow. And I think there is a recitation that does that, okay? But not Hafs and Asim. So when we do this, and if you did do that, it would be duwa, duwa. That's when the noon would become a complete wow. But in this case, it's an incomplete merge. It's not fully there, which means you're kind of halfway merging and kind of halfway not, right? You're halfway there. So how do you pronounce an idgham which is incomplete? It means that some of the noon is still there, but you're going to the wow too, okay? And when we say that some of the noon is there, what we mean by that is you keep the gunna of the noon. In other words, the sound of the noon going through the nasal cavity, when you say that kind of noise, that stays. But the tip of the tongue is not at the makhraj of the noon. So we're not saying tun, we're saying tun, tun. You're relying on the sound going through the nasal cavity. And then what you're doing at the same time as the sound going through the nasal cavity is that you are pronouncing the wow at the same time. So your lips should be circled for the wow. So here we say wa, so you can hear the wow at the same time. That's different to the ikhfa that we saw yesterday. When we had the ikhfa, we were not pronouncing the next letter. We were just getting ready for it. You know, remember when we saw the noon sakin followed by the ta? It was in tahbata, right? We had a noon sakin. We weren't pronouncing the next letter. We were just doing the gunna. Here, you're doing the gunna and you're pronouncing the next letter. And again, we prolong that. You see, you hear the woo in there. That's the wow. Then you hear the khayshum. You hear the dun. That's the gunna. That's the noon part. So both together. Okay. Let's hear that, Sister Farhat. لهم مغفرة و
لهم مغفرة و
Yes, the ta can be a little bit lighter. Let's do that one more time. لهم مغفرة و
لهم مغفرة و
Better, good. Your idgham is good. Alhamdulillah. I can hear the khayshum and the gunna, and I can hear the wow. So mashallah, good. Okay, let's finish off this ayah, and inshallah, I'll try to see if I can get all of you to maybe have a go of this whole ayah. So let's go over the next part quickly. When we say wa ajrun, the jim we've seen the jim before. It's a bouncy letter. We say wa ajrun, wa ajrun. The ra is heavy. Wa ajrun, and then we have azim. The ain is light. The la is heavy. To make the la heavy, we say li, not just the or the, li, la, lu, li. We prolong it for 2 counts because it does have the mad ya with it. And then you're stopping on a meme. Make sure that you stay on the meme, not too long, not too short. It's one of those letters which are in between. If you're stopping on it with a sukoon, you stay on it for a little bit. Alim, alim. You see the at the end. Alim. Okay, so this would be Sister Salma, if you'd like to have a go. Wa ajrun azim.
وأجر عظيم.
Yes, you're trying to make your ayn light, mashallah. Alhamdulillah. Good. I'm glad you're working on that. Alhamdulillah. Okay, so what I'll do is I'm going to finish off by allowing each of you to, inshallah, recite after me. We'll do the whole thing. And this will give a really nice opportunity for those of you at home to also try to put everything together. Remember, the slower you recite, the better. Okay, so Sister Farhat, I'll start with you. لهم مغفرة وأجر عظيم.
لهم مغفرة وأجر عظيم.
Inshallah, not bad. Can you say for me tun, nice and light? So when you say tun, just use a narrower part of your tongue. Don't use such a spread out, because that's what we, for those of you that speak like Urdu, Hindi, Punjabi, those kind of languages, we say tu, but it's tu, it's lighter. So use the very tip of your tongue. Tun. That's a bit better. Okay, keep working on this, inshallah. But the Sister Humaira, لهم مغفرة وأجر عظيم.
لهم مغفرة وأجر عظيم.
Yes, if anything, the first thing I would say is the ras need to be a little bit heavier, both of them. So maghfira and ajrun. We'll do that one more time. لهم مغفرة وأجر عظيم.
لهم مغفرة وأجر عظيم.
Not bad. Yes, the ras were better. جزاكم khairan. Sister Zuleika. لهم مغفرة وأجر عظيم.
لهم مغفرة وأجر عظيم.
Well done with the ghain, mashallah. Alhamdulillah, good. The only thing I would say is just be careful that when you do start going for the ghain, because you're concentrating, sometimes what danger is that sometimes we drag the meme before it because we ease ourselves into the ghain. So we say mel. So just be careful you're not saying mel, but you're saying mel. Go straight for the ghain. Okay, you can try up till maghfiratun. Lahum maghfiratun.
لهم مغفرة. Oh, I don't know what happened there.
It's okay, have another go, that's fine.
لهم مغفرة.
Better, mashallah, better, alhamdulillah. And finally, Sister Salma, لهم مغفرة وأجر عظيم.
لهم مغفرة وأجر عظيم.
Just that last bit. وَأَجْرٌ. Just making sure that the qalqala is nice and clear before you move on to the ra. وَأَجْرٌ عَظِيم.
وأجر عظيم.
Jazakumullahu khairan. I hope you all had plenty of practice with us at home as well. May Allah make it easy for all of us, and may Allah guide us to recite in the best way. آمين. اللهم تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم. بارك الله لي ولكم في القرآن الحكيم ونفعني وإياكم بالآية والذكر الحكيم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.